Hello, it's Sherry Truhlar with Red Apple Auctions today. I want to wish you a happy Valentine's Day, and I want to talk about showing the love to your auction committee members, because if you run a good meeting, it's going to make it easier for you to get auction volunteers. And really, if you're respectful of people's time, that shows them that you care. So here's some tips on what you should be doing before and at your meetings in order to show that love to your auction committee. First off, starting here on what you should be doing before the meeting, and that's calling each committee chair to see how long it's going to take them to talk in the meeting. And you want to put that notation in the agenda itself. So if they say 7 minutes, it goes 7 minutes. If it's 10, it's 10 minutes. You can also get a good idea of what it is that they're going to be saying at the meeting, and that leads me to my next point, because not everything needs to have a public discourse. There are some decisions that they can make in their committees that you don't need to bring to the table. Now granted, if you've got early on, your invitations committee might need more time at the committee meeting, but closer to the event, your procurement team will. So it's going to fluctuate depending on where you are in your auction cycle. But when we get into this public discourse, there's a lot of small decisions that just need to either be made by the committee chair or by you. For instance, recently I was working with the school auction, and in the past, in the silent auction, they would have teacher gifts, meaning like sugar cookies with Mrs. Donnelly, or go bowling with Mr. Smith, right? They're teacher gifts. And the auction chairs felt very strongly that it was a popularity contest, and they didn't like that in the silent auction. So they decided this year to not put it in the silent auction. Caused a big uproar within the committee, but that was how they felt. And so they made a strict decision, and end of story. Decision was made. It's their auction. Next year, if someone else takes over the auction, they can do it the way they want. But it's really up to you as the auction chair to pilot the ship, chart the course, because this is your baby when it really comes down to it. Number 3, you want to build the agenda around what you really need to accomplish. So if you cannot move forward until you decide the venue or the theme or the food or whatever it is, make sure that the committee knows that up front. Okay, folks, we've got 3 things we've got to decide in the meeting today. I want to do those first before we get into the discussion. First off is, Janet presented 2 different options for the venue. We're going to do a vote right here and make a decision. Let people know up front. That's what we're going to do today, or at least one of the things. Now, at the meeting itself, there's some things that you can be doing as well. First, be sure to start on time. I was visiting with my friend Caroline last week. She's involved in an auction that I have nothing to do with. Don't hardly know anything about it, but she was complaining about their lack of promptness. She dialed in for the auction committee meeting. No one else dialed in until 10 minutes afterwards. There was like a few of them on the call waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, the people who were meeting in person did dial in. It was clear they'd been drinking wine and they were just having a social time of it. But my friend was like, you know what? I've been waiting here 10 minutes. I've got things to do. They didn't follow the agenda. Come to find out, when they finally got to the point where they were supposed to talk to one of the girls who was covering sponsorship, they were like, Nancy? And Nancy was no longer on the phone because she got frustrated. And my friend said, this group has problems getting volunteers, and now I understand why. Because they're so disorganized and they're abusing my time. So, moral of the story here, be prompt. And follow the agenda. That helps people plan. Next, make sure that you are going to, you're sort of a cheerleader. You're sort of a cheerleader as the auction chair. So you've got to make a big deal about celebrating the wins and praising people. Your volunteers aren't being paid, but they do care. They wouldn't be there if they didn't care. So you're fostering their enthusiasm by cheerleading. That means making a big deal out of even the little things, because all of us need to hear that praise. So just build that into your schedule, knowing that you're going to be pulling out some people and thanking them profusely for what they're doing. Next up is you want to make sure that you are encouraging committee meetings. Even though you might be having an all-hands meeting where everybody comes, there can be people having sidebar meetings to get things done. For instance, in January here, a few weeks ago, I went to a school early in the morning. I was meeting the auction chair and 3 women who were helping with procurement. We were going to decide what was going into the live and what was staying in the silent. We walked into one of the rooms there at the school, and boom! We ran into 2 other women who were sitting there debating about the food. They were meeting about the food that would be served at the auction. That's great. You know, they were doing their job. They were finalizing things. And that's what needs to happen, because you as auction chair cannot possibly be involved with everything. And number 7, if someone gets long-winded during the auction committee meeting, just know that it's okay to interrupt to move things along. So if there's been some debate going on and you're looking at the time going, we cannot be having this, just go ahead and say, you know what, Janet, in the interest of time, I'm noticing here, in the interest of time, why don't you and Melissa talk about that offline, because it sounds like there's still some things to hash out, and then bring it back to the committee next week and we'll make a decision on it then, or whatever appropriate to that. But just blame it, you know, in the interest of time. That's a nice segue for you. Overall here, though, just a reminder that you're going to have an easier time getting and keeping volunteers if you respect their time, if you respect their schedules. Now, for other ideas on benefit auctions and raising money via auction format, go to our website. That's at redappleauctions.com. I do have a free gift for you up there. It's my auction item guide, What Sold Like a Gem in 2010. And it's the top 100 items I sold for overvalue last year. It's great for your auction procurement meetings. I'm Sherry with Red Apple Auctions. Thank you for watching, and good luck to you in your charity auction.